So what's up, guys? Jason Payne, your host of the Sexy Business Status Podcast. I'm here with my friend Evan Ritchie of Coconut Cleaning. So I want to act like I've known Evan for years. We've been super tight buddies. We go golfing. No, dude, I literally met him for the first time like 3 hours ago. Now, we've been talking for 2 hours before we press record, just catching up and name dropping, but in a fun way because we have a lot of close circles and buddies and a lot of history, a lot of stories related with those people in those environments. And so certain things we don't want to bring on camera is none of your business, no offense. But, dude, thanks for being on, man.
Thanks for having me. I've loved the first 2 hours and just seeing everything that you're doing. I appreciate you bringing me on.
Yeah, so it's, so I know, obviously you guys see the blue vans, right? Coconut, green mango, pest control, and the black, matte black trucks cruising around. So Evan and Cam, they own those, and it's awesome to see guys my age that are just crushing. You see some of these other guys in these big businesses that are doing like, I mentioned Ken Goodrich, and those guys, I mean, I don't know how Ken is, but he's got to be in his 50s at least, right? Yeah. Tommy's young, Tommy's in his 40s, but it's just nice to see the guys like our age that, like, dude, there is no limit on success. No. There's no limit on dollar amount. Like, you can do anything, right? But it's like, how bad do you want it?
Yeah.
Is that crazy?
Yeah. Truly those guys paved the way, but the acceleration of rapid success is, I think, increased exponentially. I think in a lot of ways because of those guys, but also just people networking, getting close to each other, and having a good product and just booming.
Yeah, so we were talking off camera about the power of networking and really putting yourself out there, right? Because if you're an introvert, naturally, it's okay that you're an introvert. It's not okay that you allow yourself to stay an introvert when it comes to business and using that as a crutch for you not to become the best version of yourself, crush your goals, and do something amazing in life because you're a quieter type or you don't like big crowds or whatever. My wife is a massive introvert, but she does really, really well in small groups. So we take her to my 700-person event in January or the 450 in July. You go to the Limitless one, she went with me, and there's 7,000 people there,
nice, okay.
Right? So you go to all those, like she like shuts down hardcore. She's very quiet,
like clingy onto you.
Not physically, but just like almost like on her phone, like go, nobody talk to me, go away. Gotcha. But then you go to the VIP lunch, and there's only 50 people in there, and it's quiet and it's chill, and there's a 7 or 8 person round table, opens up like a flower and kills it. Right, we have these after parties or the VIP parties or these lunches where it's more condensed and fewer people and it's more intimate. Yeah. She comes out, she kills it, absolutely kills it. I love that. And that's kind of thing where like with what you've done with Coconut and the culture and building that team up and the retention that you guys have is just amazing. Talk to us, like what would you recommend to people in the past 12 months? Like your entire life has changed in amazing ways. Both business, personal, all that kind of stuff. What advice would you give? So those that are listening, small business owners, right, that are, most of them doing anywhere from $500,000 to $2 or $3 million in revenue. Yeah. They want to grow, they want to scale, they want to, just kick butt and build something worth building and selling. And we'll get into that in a minute too, right? Building a business, that's actually what we're selling instead of just, being an owner-operator, that's when your business is worth nothing at the end of the day. What advice would you give to them to building a team? You have, how many employees do you have?
60.
You have 60, right? That's 60 personalities and attitudes and behaviors and all that. How does someone like you in that position with 60 employees, how do you navigate that on a day-to-day basis?
I heard a principle by Jocko Willink maybe 6-7 years ago, right as we were starting Coconut, where he said that the most effective leaders, I think it was a study done by Stanford or Harvard, one of those schools, he said the most effective leaders manage 7 people or less. And so I always knew at whatever level of business that no one would manage more than 7 people because Jocko was a Navy SEAL, but he owns multiple companies. And like, if this guy's 50 or 60 years old and he's learned not only in his own experience implementing that, but also if enough money has been poured into a study, I'm not even going to risk trying to squeeze a manager to manage 12 or 13 just because I get more. I'd rather just trust what other people have done, especially people that I trust. Sure. And I've always stuck to, I never want to personally be responsible for more than 7 people. And I've stuck to that since day one. but we've always made sure that anytime we reach a manager now has 8 people to manage, we'll make a new manager, and now 2 people will manage 4 people until they can grow their teams up to 7. And we've kept to that. But
I've never heard that before. That's amazing. It's funny you said it, because I have 4 under me. Like I have 81, 82 employees now. So like I only have 4 or so that report to me, for lack of better words. But then underneath them, I was like, one of them has 1, one of them has 7, 6 to 8. One of them has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No more than 7. And then on the production side, we have like 40 guys there, but I have 5. So 5 times 7 is 35, plus my manager. That's another 7. So it's you say that, and more or less, I don't know the exact number, but it sounds pretty dang accurate. But that makes sense, because you can only there's only comes a certain point. Like, I manage 200 people. No, you don't. And you can't, or you lose control. Right? And so you got to be careful doing that. That's crazy. So 7-to-1 ratio. I love that. Talk to me about your culture. Why do people love when they come work for you? You've only lost 4, 5, 6 people in the last 6 years. That's like unheard of, right? Especially in blue collar, I would say low paying, but hourly type positions, not big, huge, CEO, 6-figure type jobs. How do you get someone to come and stay at Coconut?
It's a good question. I've learned from so many people. There's a quote by Isaac Newton where he says, "If I've seen further, it's by standing on the shoulders of giants." So by all means, anything I'm going to share is a collection of observation, one not only through Cameron, but also just through a lot of people, and now like as I'm meeting you. But how we've maintained our culture here at Coconut, it was first and foremost my own effort in my own experience as an employee to say I just remember reflecting as I was starting Coconut, and I was like, what do I want to be known for in my leadership? And I looked back at the last few bosses that I had, and I took some of the qualities that I loved from them, but I also took some of the principles where I was like, I never want to treat someone like that. I always want to make sure that anyone who comes into Coconut has a complete path for growth, not only financially, but also consistent continuing education on, you might be a marketer, you might like sales, you might like the technical side, you might like management. And so I've always made sure, one, that when people come in, they're treated with respect, kind of like what you said off camera, where you had mentioned that you always wanted to make sure that anyone that they run into in public, whether they're some sort of small figure person in terms of finances or success, but also to the biggest people, you want to treat them the same.
Totally.
And so I made a huge effort to make sure that everyone that came through our door, still to this day, I meet with them on the first day, I talk with them, we get a good idea of what they want to accomplish now, but also where they want to go. And even if it's, hey, I want to be an attorney in a year, I don't try to detract them away from that. I say, hey, here are some things that you can learn here that would help you as an attorney. And what ends up happening is that these same people see that the amount of investment put into them, not only through company parties, recognition, hey, we're doing, birthday celebrations, hey, your wife was in a car accident, all of a sudden all the team of managers know, and that person's getting dinner every night for a week or 2. And it's just something that, as people saw how I was treating them, now those same 7 people that I work with and manage, they're doing it in their own way, in their own respective way.
Love it.
And so everyone's ideas for how they take care of people, I let them run with it.
It's interesting you say that, because one of my it should be a core value, but I just came up with it just a little bit ago, and I got it from somebody, I don't know who, so I can't take the credit, but caught, not taught.
I love that. Yeah.
Caught, not taught. They saw those 7 that report to you, that are underneath you in regards to leadership and delegation. Those 7 see you doing the dinners, doing the parties, doing the appreciation stuff, and then from there they see that, right? It wasn't like, you need to do this. You just start doing it. They're like, oh, I should do that. So I'm doing 100 push-ups a day every day.
I've been watching.
Yeah, since August. Yeah. So I'm 5,000 push-ups deep.
Jeez.
Since August, right? Apart from my normal workouts and walks and all that kind of stuff. And my wife, I had my wife on a podcast a couple weeks ago, and I wasn't sure if it was true or not, but I was like, did I ask you to do it? And she's like, I think you did, but either way, she's done it on her own, never missed a day. My kids.
The push-ups?
Push-ups.
Oh my gosh, okay.
My wife's done over 5,000 push-ups.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, okay.
Yeah, and before, and she does, she'll do a handful of them on her feet, and then she goes to knees assisted.
Yeah.
But she couldn't even do one, not assisted.
Yeah.
And now she's like, now she can do a ton of
Yeah.
them. And so, but like my kids will catch me. So I have a little push-up, little plastic thingy. I don't even know what it's called, but my 6-year-old was like, hey, will you give me $500 if I do 50 a day every day through the end of the year? And I promised my employees, and I had like 15 to 20 of them do it, and now we're down to like 5. But I was like, hey, I'll give you $1,000 if you do 100 push-ups a day every single day and you don't miss. After. I don't care if you're sick, I don't care if you're traveling, I don't care, no matter what happens. You have to do 100 push-ups every single day.
I love that.
So I'm down to like 5 people. And I've had people say, oh, well, what if I double down? Like I missed yesterday, I was sick, I was on vacation, whatever. I was like, nope, you're out. Because I want the consistency, because it's hard to do something like that and be consistent. It's only 100 push-ups. It's not the 100 push-ups that's the hard part. It's never miss a day for like 150, almost half the year.
Yeah,
I mean, literally.
convenience.
And convenience.
That's the hard part. That's like 75 hard. Like,
yes.
it's hard. Like you can do it on the days where it's convenient, but the true test is when you do it on days where it's extremely convenient.
Yeah. So go back to bring this circling back to where you said about culture is like I show my team that I want to work out. I show my team that I'm crazy about health and fitness and exercise, and I know that just like Andy Elliott, right? You coach with him, I coach with him. He teaches that. He's like, dude, if you get more chiseled and more ripped, you will make more money.
Yeah.
Like it is a legitimate thing. Because there's consistency and there's discipline that bleeds into the workspace from that discipline and that consistency, right? So you lost a couple pounds
Yes.
in the past year?
So this is 2 years ago now.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
How much weight did you lose?
So I lost 70 pounds in 69 days.
Basically a pound a day.
Yes.
Which some people say like you can't do, it's impossible, you got surgery, all that kind of stuff. First of all, it was a deal. You had a deal with somebody, right? You made a comment. It was a so one, I'm like that too. Like, tell me I can't do something, and then watch me do it,
Yeah.
right? But if you say, we're gonna go do this and this and this, I'm like, oh, cool, I'm not gonna do it. But like you say, hey, you can't do this, I'd be like, excuse me,
Yeah.
like, hold my beer,
Yep.
let's roll, right? So that was motivation for it. But like, what kind of discipline did it require? Because when you were that heavy, and you're 100 pounds overweight, for lack of better words, or where you wanted to be,
Yeah.
like you don't all of a sudden just have this massive discipline to go and do it, because if you did, you wouldn't be that heavy in the first place,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So how does that, because that's it wasn't like over a year or 2 or 3, that's less than 3 months.
Yeah.
So in less than a quarter,
Yeah.
you're able to do that. What does that look like?
So, something I always preach to my guys that I got called out on, and what really engaged my ego to do it, was I always tell my employees, like, how you do one thing is how you do everything.
Oof.
And my business partner at the time said, Evan, you kill it in business. You kill it in your work ethic. You're a great father. You're a great husband. I just want to let you know that you are evidence that your quote isn't true. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, well, you kill it in there, but you're fat. So clearly, how you do one thing isn't how you do everything.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't like that at all.
Brutal truth.
Yes. And I didn't respond, but he made a bet. And I personally don't smoke marijuana, no judgments if you do, but
Sure.
because I was adamant about not, he said, hey, 90 days, 3 months, lose 70 pounds. And I'm like, done. Especially because I truly live to my employees like, hey, if you're honest at work, you're going to be honest in your home, you're going to be honest how you do it if you work hard. And so when he said that, it almost was like dissonance for me, where I was like I truly reflected on, okay, I know I work hard. I know I give my kids everything I got. But my health took a seat in the back burner, and it was more so like any opportunity I could just get a quick snack at a gas station, because eating was inconvenient to me at the time. I was like, quick snack, quick thing on little rolling things at QT, and then go.
Rolling things on QT.
Yeah, whatever those are.
So
I don't
true.
really know what those are.
The pizza slices.
Yes.
Or the hot dogs. Give me everything.
But it was David Goggins who gave me the math through social media, where he
Sure.
said, if you burn 3,500 calories, like everyone who loses a pound, they lost 3,500 calories.
Mm.
So they were in a deficit of 3,500 calories. Some people do it once a week. So what that means is over the 7 days, they ate 2,000 calories a day, 14,000, but they burned 15,000 or 17,500.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, how many calories could I burn in a day? So I knew I wanted to eat at a bare minimum 1,500 calories a day. And so what I did on the very first day after making that bet is I ran until my Apple Watch said 5,000 calories, and for me it was 12 miles.
12 miles.
It took 12 miles for me
That's
to burn.
3 hours.
Yes.
Ish.
Yes.
So I have a weighted vest,
Yeah,
like a 35, 40 pound vest, and I do 2.4, 2.5 miles, and it's about 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's, and I'm about 18-minute miles.
Yeah.
And it's a decent walk. I'm also on social media, listening to podcasts, so I'm not like sprinting or like trying to, there's no finish line per se. But that's 18 minutes. So you're telling me 12 miles, that's hours plural a day.
Yes. I knew with my work conditions and my at-home conditions with my kids and the time they needed, I didn't have 3 hours, I had 1. So I found a way to knock 500 to 800 out in the morning through 1 hour of HIIT training at a gym. At like 4:35 in the morning, because my kids aren't up. So I'm like,
your employees aren't up, your wife's not up, no one's up.
No one's up. How can I squeeze in? How can I shave an hour off at night? It was HIIT training, so at 5 a.m. I would go down to TI Fitness with Terrence and do 500, 800 calories, because my day was very sedentary. It was very much like 5 to 15 meetings a day. Even when I wasn't doing a meeting, it was like trainings. I didn't move a lot. And so I was burning maybe 100 to 300 calories just like breathing. And at the end of every night, I'd get home 5:30, 6 o'clock, hang out with my kids till 7, 8 o'clock, and I would run till 10, 10:30 every night. But here's what sucked is if I did something with my kids late or with family late, I would get home at 9 or 10. I would still do the 10 miles. That's what I had to finish with every night for 69 days straight, and I lost 70 pounds.
Just walking.
Yeah, it was probably walking. If someone was observing me, it was probably walking.
Yeah.
In my mind, I think I'm looking like Rocky running up the stairs, but it was probably like a brisk walk.
Yeah.
Because what I found out when you weigh what I weighed, that first 3 weeks, my knee, I don't cry. I cry like more from a empath standpoint too much, but physical pain has never really been like an aspect where like I cry about it. But there were probably 2 or 3 nights in the first 3 or 4 weeks where I broke down and cried because my body hurt so much, and I knew I was like, I'm going to lose this bet. It's going to reinforce what he said, and I almost thought I was going to change my identity if I didn't do it. But my legs were like edema, swollen, and I would finish sometimes at midnight, 12:30. I'm like, I have to get up in 4 hours to do this again. And there was 3 or 4 nights in that first couple of weeks where I was at the park running, walking, and I just cried because it was pain. But I didn't want to lose the bet, and I wanted to prove to myself that how I do everything is how I do one thing is how I do everything.
That's insane. That's so good. I love stories like that. I've never been like that extreme, but like I said, I lost 27 pounds, and they call it a skinny fat. Heard that before? So Natalie Dawson actually brought that up to me, and she has a full podcast on it, because there's all these ladies that are skinny but they're like fat. Like you could run a mile if you wanted to, but you don't have this big huge inner tube, and you're not 200 pounds. But like you literally you walk up the stairs and you're gonna pass out because you literally haven't you don't exercise or anything. So they call it skinny fat. And so that's how I felt. Like I don't ever recall anybody ever saying, bro, like you put on some weight, man, or like, bro, you need to lose some pounds. Ever. But internally, I was like, dude, because I know what my body's capable of. I ran a 4.5 40 in college, played baseball, 3% body fat, 6-pack. I was on a Hollister bag. I looked like a gangster, right?
Okay.
From my senior year, and I played a semester up at EA in Thatcher baseball.
Nice. Okay.
And so that was, I was like, so I know what my body's capable of, and I'm like, why am I doing it right now? It's like, well, yeah, because I don't just work out all day and go play baseball all day, but it's like my body is still capable of doing it.
Right.
Is my mind capable of doing it?
Right.
The answer is no, and that's why I hadn't done it. And so I've lost that, and so I've been under 200 for a long time, and I'm starting, like I said, the 100 push-ups. I've done 75 hard. I've done it 5 times, completed it 3 times. But like,
have you done like the live hard or whatever it is?
the phases?
Yeah.
I did the phases. I did like 5 or 10 days, and then I just kind of stopped type deal. Or you can wait for a while, and then I just wait, like, whatever, I won't, do it again.
Yeah.
So, because from phase 1 to 2 to 3, you have to wait like 30 days in between.
Yeah.
But after the 75, you can do phase 1 literally on day 76. Yeah. And so some people will keep doing that, and so I would just take a break. But it was more of like the discipline and the routine, where my wife now works out 4 to 5, 6 days a week. Sometimes she does 2 a days, right? Like, and my wife was skinny fat. She was like never overweight. She got bigger when she had babies, and she wanted to get rid of the baby fat when she was done having 4 kiddos. But like, it's just, she literally even said on the podcast, she's like, I had to remarry myself with food. I had to recommit my relationship with food. Yeah. What were we gonna say about that?
I was gonna ask, like, did you have anybody? What was so funny for me was no one said anything watching me gain weight.
Sure.
And I think it's because I'm around a lot of people I love. Like, at the time, my wife, kids, like, see my mom, dad. No one said anything, and everyone had something to say when they saw me. Like, are you okay? And I'd be like, oh, I'm actually doing this, like, so proud of myself. And they're like, that's not healthy. I'm like, neither is being 290 pounds like that. Yeah. But everyone had something to say when I told them what I was doing to lose the weight. I don't know what I've really taken from that, but I just remember feeling like, man, I'm so proud of myself for what I've done the last 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks. And anyone that's like complimenting me, it's always followed up with like, that's not healthy what you're doing. And I'm like, hey, you didn't say anything when I gained all this weight, and now I'm losing it. And
it's not healthy. It says who?
Right.
It says the person who's not working out. It says the person who's also overweight.
Right.
It says the person who has also given up on their dreams. That's why like they talk about how people, when you go from, we talk off camera, like circle to circle, as you grow and mature, you're gonna outgrow your circle of friends. You just are. And some of them have outgrown you, and you either don't know it or don't care to see it, or your ego's not in check.
Right.
And so, but as you go from these different circles, as you develop, as you age, as you mature, and as you do bigger things, you're going to outgrow those people if they're not growing as well.
Yeah.
And so that's what happens is like, I've had 2 people tell me doing 100 push-ups a day. One guy, he's like, you're gonna injure yourself. Dude, and I think David Goggins, right? And I'm like, bro, shut up. 100 push-ups, not 1,000. Like 100 push-ups a day. Like, come on.
Is this someone who's fit by chance or not?
No!
Okay. Of course.
Right? And it's one, and another one is my sister's friend who said, oh yeah, he shouldn't do that, it's not good for his body, this and that. And I'm like, dude, you show me anybody that's a legit trainer that does that stuff, that says 100, like 100, not 500. Like, well, your body needs to recoup and needs rest, and then I'm like, dude, it's like going for a walk for a mile every day. So I'm like, you shouldn't walk a mile every day, you should have a rest day. I'm like, I work out on Sundays. Like, you need a rest day. A rest day from what? Like, that's just your mind just playing mind games with you. Or those other people that don't want to do it. Like, have you ever done 100 push-ups a day every day for 45 or 60 or 90 days? No, you can't. You're literally don't even know what the crap you're talking about because you've never done it.
Right.
Right? 75 hard is bad for you, bro. You can't even do 7 hard, let alone 75 hard. And it's like, is it egotistical and mean I'm a dick? I'm very blunt. I would have been like, dude, I was like, I have attracted and basically inherited Andy Elliott's thinking of like, dude, you need to lose weight.
Yeah.
Right when he walked in, I'm like, oh, before he told me he lost 100 pounds, I was like, holy crap. I was like, yeah, you could probably lose 20 or 30 pounds and get a little more chiseled up. Because
I have a funny story about Andy with that.
Oh, I'm sure. Because I have one too.
I met him. So me and Cameron went to go meet him prior to even signing up with him.
Sure.
He shook Cameron's hand and he went for my hand and went past my hand and grabbed my love handle.
Oh, shut up.
Like, we haven't even shaken hands yet. And we didn't even, like, he didn't know we were going to be, being trained by him.
Sure.
And he shook Cameron's hand, nice to meet you. He said, nice to meet you, looked at me.
And Cam's fit. People don't know Cam. A lot of people in here don't know who Cam is. Very, very fit. Very fit.
Very fit. Went past my hand, squeezed the leg. He's like, what are we going to do about this? And I'm like, nice to meet you. And then he shook my hand, but I was like, he's a dick. But then after, like, he's like, what are we going to, like, me and you, man, what are we going to do? Like, here, take my cell. Like, let's do something. I'm like, he cares about me.
Yeah.
And he's lived that.
Does he benefit from you losing weight? No, not directly. Like indirectly, he knows that you're gonna make more money and but what he wants you to do is he wants you to see your spouse. He's like, I always tell people, I'm like, dude, I was like, you should do it, apart from doing it for yourself, everybody has a mirror in their bathroom. There's not a bathroom that does not have a mirror. A full bath that does not have a mirror, and sometimes a full mirror. Yeah. Like, you get out of the shower or out of the bathtub every single day, and you look in the mirror, and like sometimes you'll literally lie to yourself so many freaking times that you're like, this is who I am. Yeah. This is who I'm gonna be. This is what I'm gonna look like. This is the stereotype, right? And I'm like, says who, yeah. Right? And I've never had a coach or a mentor ever affiliate fitness with wealth to the extreme that he has.
His principle is fitness first.
Fitness first. Like, it's insane. He's like, you get your fitness right, fixes 90% of your problems. And I'm like, he's like, it fixes your marital problems, it fixes your relationship with your kids, it fixes your relationship with your employees, with your clients. And he's like, the other part too, he's like, I walk into the room like this, I have immediate respect. Doesn't matter what you do. You show up, like, whether you make 40 grand or 400 grand or 4 million a year, that I have respect for that dude, because that requires, like we said before, consistency, intentionality, discipline, right? From eating healthy, because you got to eat healthy and work out, right? But I'm like, who wouldn't love to take their shirt off and look like Andy Elliott? Don't tell me like, well, not everybody wants to look like that. Bullshit, dude. We all do.
They all do.
You all do.
Your wives do too.
And your spouse, yes, your plus one does too.
Regardless how much she loves you.
I love you no matter what. Yeah.
Just change a year later.
Yeah.
Things will change.
Hey, I'm gonna go back to that way. No. Don't do that. Just like finances, you go and make your first 100 grand, right? And you're like, well, I'm gonna go back to making 40 or 60. Or it's gonna be like, yeah, it's a great idea, babe. Let's do that. No one's gonna do that. I'd be like, hey, what's the next hundo? When's the next and the next and the next? And it's not a matter of like, my wife and I have had a lot of these conversations of me not being content. Like, Jason, you always want the next thing. You want this next thing. You want the brightest, shiniest, fastest, biggest on my truck outside, right? I'm like, yes. Like, why is that a bad thing? She's like, you can't just like chill. I don't want to chill. You can chill. You're not bad for chilling. I don't want to chill. Like, how many kids do you have?
4.
You have 4. I have 4. I have 5 kids. I have 4 with Heidi. And I've literally, the most time I've spent at home, I think it was 4 days after having a baby. After 4 days, she's like, dude, get out of here. Because I'm like, dude, like, I gotta go, I gotta move, I got shit to do. Like just sitting down around the house, like, not my jam at all. It doesn't mean I'm a bad person, doesn't mean you're a bad person, just like, it's how I'm wired, it's how I feel fulfilled in life. And like, I can't do that. Yeah. And so that's good. One, congratulations on losing that. That's amazing. So when it comes to, we talked about culture, we talked about, getting your mind right in regards to health and fitness. You've gone through partnerships and buyouts and all that kind of stuff like crazy in the past 24 months.
Yeah.
Without going into details, what people that are in partnerships, there's a lot of people that I coach that are in partnerships, husband and wife, father, son, just buddies, right? What advice would you give them on how to maintain and have a healthy relationship in regards to partnerships and business?
I think it's the saying that I've heard, more tailored to marriage, but also I've applied now in business. But I love the saying that in marriage you marry 2 people, the person that they are and the person they want to become. Mm-hmm. And I think of any, like the idea of like a new partnership, and as I've met so many people that are going in a lot of different directions in their own, and they're going to be successful, the main thing that I like use as my filter is, who are you now? Like, what are your principles for like how you treat your people? Like, how do you do business? But then also, when do you want to stop? And not even stop, but like, when are you okay for this specific goal or company? Because I've had a few people say, hey, I have this product that I want to make, but I want to make sure everyone I work with is like good for like the grind. And I'm like, define the grind. Like, what's your grind look like? Is it very effective communication, or is it like you want everyone you partner with to work 12 hours a day on this thing? Mm-hmm. And that's helped me so much. Just know, like, okay, what are your intentions with this business and this idea? Where do you want to go, and what do you expect of me? Having those, not even uncomfortable, but having those very specific conversations prior to an operational agreement prior to anything goes so much further, because when those things aren't discussed and you realize that you have a partner that says, oh, you didn't know that once we make 250 grand each, like, I'm good coasting. It's like, whoa, like.
You say coasting?
Yeah, it's
I'm
like,
gonna freaking fight you.
let's leverage what we do for 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
And make 500 grand a year. And those are the more infinitely more difficult conversations, because they involve legalities and courtrooms and things like that, where anyone that wants to go into business with a partner, I'd say, like, who are they now, what do they stand for, and where do they want to go with this thing? And just having that idea of what that person wants and where they want to go can help you immediately filter people out. Where you say, hey, anything I'm going to do on the side, I don't have 10 hours a day, I can't. Or, hey, it looks like you just want 50 grand for me to start this and you expect nothing from me, and I now filter you through what you're going to go do with it. Cool, like, we're on the same page.
I like that you bring that up, like setting realistic expectations from day one in writing. Here's what I always tell people: write down what you are going to do and what you're not going to do.
Yeah.
Even in your marriage, like, hey, I don't want to do X and Y and Z. Like me, I hate scrubbing toilets. I actually like vacuuming. It gives me like I don't know why I love it. It's weird. Like, you'll never catch me scrubbing a toilet. Not because I'm too good. I hate it. I don't want to do it in any way, shape, or form. And I'm like, okay. So I told my wife, I'm like, well, do you want to do that? No. Do I want to do that? No. Then why are we doing it? It's like, okay, cool. You don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. Okay, let's not do that, and let's hire somebody to do that. Okay, cool. Done. Right? My wife has the same with laundry, where she's like, I told her for the longest time, I don't want to do laundry. I don't want to do laundry. Not my jam. And she's like, well, I don't want somebody else doing her laundry. That's weird. So I want to do laundry, and I want you to do it with me to show me that you love me.
Okay.
I'm like, fuck. I was like, that's a lot of laundry. I got 7 people in my house,
Yeah.
right? And working out twice a day, or every day, and like you're talking 2 or 3 outfits, work stuff. It's like, it's a lot of laundry.
Yeah.
But like because they even says, like, there's literally places they'll come pick up your laundry, go do it, fold it, wash it, bring it back, drop it in a pile on your doorstep 24 hours later for like almost nothing, like super cheap. And a lot of buddies that do that, but like her thing was, I want you to show me that you're not too good to do those simple tasks.
I like that.
And I'm like, okay, so her and I do laundry together, right? It's just like, it's a thing, like I said, I listen to AirPods and we'll watch a show together. It's almost like a connection type of thing. When it comes to partnerships, we talked about in business. You have 4 kids.
Yeah.
How do you still grind it out? You're growing, you're scaling like crazy. You told me your projections are awesome. I love them. Very similar to mine, right? Where we're going, what we're doing. When it comes to that requires being very, very intentional about your time.
Yeah.
Your time at work, time with your spouse, time with your kids. What do you do to make sure that you don't, and time for yourself,
Yeah.
right? That's Andy taught me this, and I've also kind of tweaked it, but like, you have yourself, like you and your relationship with yourself and God.
Yeah.
And then your spouse, your kids, and then your business.
Yeah.
In that order, right? A lot of us will get that order mixed up like crazy. What do you do to make sure that you don't get those priorities mixed up?
I think one of the principles that I put a title to it later, which is like take your family with you.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like because of my father, so my father is a entrepreneur, but he chose the entrepreneurial life because he wanted to work every day till 1 or 2 o'clock and be home for every time we walked through that door, and that's what he wanted.
Huh.
But because of that choice, he never really maximized on leveraging what he did between 8 a.m. and 1 p.m. And he always made the same income. I had a great life, but it was, by any means, it wasn't, extravagant. And
Sure.
So for me, going into this business, what I've noticed amongst top performers that was something I was actually already doing because of my dad and how important family was, is that any opportunity that I had for my kids to be present with me, I'm like, okay, if I'm done with my route and I'm going to go to the office to organize all the paperwork that was done and bill everyone and do all that, my kids can be around me. And so I'd call my wife at the time, I'd say, hey, can you drop the kids off at 6 o'clock? You go home, be alone, get away from the kids.
Yeah, do your thing.
And they're at the office with me now, and I'm not giving them my full attention, but now my 10-year-old still to this day remembers 3, 4, 5 years ago being at the office with me. I'm at my desk. They'd get little micro moments. I'd be hanging out, but I now got what was, I would excuse saying I'm busy. I now got these little moments where my kids are hanging around the office. They're now meeting employees. They're talking to people. You know, I have my new babies on my lap as I'm doing paperwork. And so I would say take your family with you, especially like a spouse, for goals and especially what you're capable of doing. I remember in the first year I'd tell Carly, I'd say, hey, if I try walking through our front door before 6:30 p.m., don't let me. And she held true to that. Like there'd be days where I'm like, it's 6:05. I don't know what to do. Like go do. You should know what to do.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I would say to anyone, take your family with you. Make sure that your spouse knows the direction that you want to go, and stop kidding yourself that you can't include your kids in some shape or form in your business. Because my managers that were with me 5.5 years ago, like my kids are like, oh, Auntie Sherry, like they know my managers, and my managers know my kids, and there's more buy-in because, hey, that single mom that's a CSR at Coconut that her babysitter called out, guess what? You can bring your kid to work if you would like.
Sure.
Or you can call out whatever you need to do. And we have kids at the office, and I love it. And I remember never kidding myself that I'm so busy that I can't do it. Or days I would just go home at 5 and push off the admin work, but then I'd go back to the office at 10 or 11. Wife's asleep. Okay, I can go back now. That's when I can do it. I don't have to kid myself that I'm so busy that I can't do this thing a little bit later when everyone's asleep. And so take the family with you, and then as it pertains to your employees too, or friends too, like this is what I'm doing and this is where I want to go, and you find out who wants to support you and who doesn't. And that's also a very like easy way to say, hey guys, like if I don't respond, I'm just a little busy, this is what I'm doing, I'm nothing special, please don't give me the, oh, I'm not, I'm just like, I'm swamped. And so
Sure.
Here's some ways that you can love me, and let me know, because we've been friends for 15 years, like how I can love you with the time that I have. And that's allowed me to keep a lot of friendships, just being open about what my whereabouts are for the last 6 months and where I'm going. And I have some friends that say, hey man, it means a lot when you just like respond to my meme that I sent. I'm like, oh cool, like if that's how you want me to love you right now at this time in my life, done.
Yeah.
And it's allowed me to reconnect now 6 years later where I have more time. And people didn't think that I just like ghosted them. But then there were also people that didn't have my best intentions, and it was easy to.
Like a butthurt.
Yeah.
That's it's crazy how you mentioned you went from office, family to literally friends about business.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure very clear that people hear that is when you tell people, I people do like, oh, I was like, why didn't you? And I'll ask them, hey, why didn't you invite me? And they're like, oh, dude, you're so busy. Like, I don't think you'd even want to come. And I'm like, I appreciate that. So it's like, one, it's a compliment. Like, hey, you should be doing that too, right?
Yeah.
But also like, hey, ask me if I can. I'm more than willing to. I get asked to golf 2-3 times a week, and I say yes like once every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, dude, I was like, that's 3 to 4 hours. You do that, 3 or 4 times a week. Like, that's half your work week, right? It adds up for sure. And but when it comes down to it, the part that I've seen is when you also communicate with them, like, hey, this is a season that I'm in. Like so I do a lot of golf tournaments, like charity golf tournaments, one a month at least. Especially when the weather's good, it's almost like one a week.
Like sponsoring a golf tournament?
Sponsoring a golf tournament, and then we get a foursome in return. And so,
Nice.
But like I have one that's on, if it's during the week, I'll go. Not a problem, piece of cake. I'll bring a client, bring an employee,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And incentivize somebody or bring them on if they hit a goal or something. But like, one of Andy Elliott's things on Sunday, I'm like, dude, I'm out. I was like, no, if I'm traveling and it's, in Florida and it's a different conversation, but like, it's a one day with Ryan Stumling, it's all day Sunday. I'm like, dude, I was like, I'd rather spend time with my kids.
Yeah.
My business is not going to collapse because I didn't go to that one event, right? I just went to Andy Elliott's one with Tim Grover and Coach Michael Burt, 2 weeks ago. It was my son's first football game. Before, pay attention to this. Now, to each their own, by the way. Like you, your wife, your kids, relationships. I'm just telling you what works for me, right? Cash, my 8-year-old, first football game, tackle, first time playing tackle, and has his first game, and it was at 8 o'clock in the morning. Well, the event started at 8 in Fountain Hills, and this was in Queen Creek out by my house. So it's like 45 minutes one way, apart from the game. Game's 2 hours. So I leave it at 10, get there at like 10:45, basically 11 o'clock. I lost 3 hours. The old me was like, dude, I was like, I missed 3 hours, and I paid thousands of dollars for this thing. It wasn't like a $100 ticket. Paid thousands, plural. But I was like, what was more important for those 3 hours? Am I going to remember those 3 hours? Like, oh, I missed that $1 million. Do I get those 3 hours? Maybe. But me personally, those 3 hours were more important to be there for my kid and my wife, showing me that I support him because he saw that I was there. He gave 2 shits about me going to that mastermind. He gave 2 shits. Yeah. That was all day Friday. I was there all day Friday, including their crazy ass workout thing. If you ever do that, by the way, you ready to throw up? Yeah. You done it?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I almost died. Yeah. It was insane. And I'm like, I'm not a fat dude. I feel like I'm somewhat fit. Yeah. Still whoop my ass. Absolutely insane. Justin Cross, douchebag. Love him. But that's what it comes down to. Is like I was there all day Friday, did the workout thing that Friday night. But Saturday morning, I told my wife, I said, hey, she's like, you need to make this a priority. I said, I completely agree. Before I was like, nope, I'm going. So there's animosity between my wife and I. And then my kids see that I'm not there. It's like, oh, but it's for work. I'm building a dream. I'm building a vision. It's like, are you though? Or are you really just stroking your own ego? Right? And by the way, you can do both. Because I left, I went back. I was there at 11, from 11 to like 4 or 5 o'clock. I still got 6 hours in that second day, apart from the whole day on Friday. But I was able to make that 3 hours really, really important for my wife and my kids. Yeah. So those that are listening, don't think, like people that say that, it's absolute bullshit. Now there is a season. Yeah. I will admit that, just like you had a season. I had a season where I was working 12, 14, 16, 18-hour days before I got married, when I was married, when we were having babies. But I set the realistic expectations with my wife that it was a season. I no longer work 12, 14, 16, 18-hour days because I have built and established a team that can help me accomplish those things and not have to go work that many hours. I can now hire people to help accomplish those tasks.
Did you feel like you did a good job at defining the duration of the season, or a certain like threshold for which you knew you would then, delegate to somebody else, and hey, at this point I would then hope to start coming home by 5? Like, that was a learning process for me, which was defining the season too. Yeah. Like also making terms in the season. So it's like, hey, this is my ask, what's your ask? And she's like, well, the 2 hours I do get with you, no phone. I'm like, done.
It's funny you say that. So one, I sucked balls at it for 8.5 years. My wife listens to all my podcasts. Sucked absolute balls for 8.5 years. Very tenuous. But she did know that, like, she also knew, like, starting a business, rice and bean in it, as we call it. Like, it was a thing. But I didn't set realistic expectations with timelines of when that season would be done. And so when we started State 48 in 4 years, like I said, you go from 0 to 10 million in 4 years. Like it's a lot of shaking and baking, right? A lot of moves. And so as we did that, she knew that, but I had that when we started it. I set those expectations. I was very clear. I said, hey, this is what it's going to look like. It's going to be ugly but I want to build this. And once we do, we can go do the trips, and I can do this and do that. So after 3 years, for lack of better words, because we're on year 4, after about 3 years, she's like, hey, 5 o'clock, because at 5 o'clock I was rolling in on my phone, finishing up with the client, finishing up with an employee, and on my phone. She's trying to get dinner done, or she wants my attention, my kids want my attention, and I'm like, hey, shh. I just did the other day, and she's like, no, she's like, get the hell out of our house. She's like, kicked me out of the house. She's like, you're on a work phone call, you come into my house, into their place, screw you. You get out, you go finish your phone call, and you come back in. And like, that takes balls as a spouse to be able to do that. But she literally put her foot down because I was abusing it over and over and over again. Like, oh, I'll go at 5. I'd roll in at 5:10, 5:20, 5:30, right? She's like, well, you said 5. So are you really home at 5, or are you home between 5 and 6? Right. It's like, if I say be home, I didn't tell you 5, you told me 5. So if you tell me 5 o'clock, fucking show up at 5 o'clock. And I'm like, okay. So I do that. So I can even give myself a parameter. I know from my house, from my office to my house right now is like 29 minutes with no traffic, or the standard traffic, no like crazy accidents or closures or whatever. And so I give myself 45 minutes to an hour. Hey, I'll be home in 45 minutes to an hour. It's only taking me 30. But what happens is I was saying, hey, I'll be home in 30 minutes. Any like extra red light, school crossing bullshit, construction, and there's an accident on the 60, right, or 202. And so then I'm go home, I'm in the doghouse because I told her, because mentally, this is just for me, not for everybody. Mentally, my spouse commits to me being home to where she can get a release and get help at 5 o'clock. At 5 o'clock, that like a microwave, bing! Wait, the food's still cold. Like, it's supposed to be warm,
Yeah.
right? It's not cold. What happened? And so when I say, hey, I'm gonna be home at a certain time, I'm home at a certain time now. Because what I was doing, I was breaking my wife little by little by not keeping those small commitments. And I broke her. And I did. I almost got divorced because of it. And I almost broke my kids. Kids are more flimsy or more flexible, right? Because they don't know any better. But like, most people know this story. You don't. But like, my kid wanted little dirt bikes, and he's like, "Dad, can we go on a dirt bike ride?" And I would say, "Yeah, absolutely," because I'm a yes man. And I've changed that big time in the past decade. But I was like, I hate disappointing people. Yeah. Massive people pleaser, and I always say yes to everybody. One of the biggest crutches that I've had as a business owner, as a man, as a dad, and a husband was being the yes man to everybody. You cannot be a yes man to everybody. Right. You can't. Right? And if you do, guess what? You put on 100 pounds because you didn't say yes to yourself. Yeah. Right? Or you say, or you look chiseled, you look great, but you get divorced because you neglected your spouse. Right? Or your kids grow up and they're in their teens and they're like, "Who's dad?" Right. Like, "Oh, you still live here?" Type deal. And that's been my thing. I'm like, I don't ever want that to happen. That's kind of been a huge thing for me. Yeah. And so what it comes down to is hers was 5 to 8. She's like, and this is where she said, she's like, "I need you for 1/8 of the day." Before she said the time frame, like, 1/8, can you give me 1/8 of your day? Sure, no problem. I got 7/8 left. She's like, "I need you from 5 to 8 p.m. And I'm like, 5 to 8. I was like, dude, like, one, nobody's like jacked up, ready to rock and roll, 100% energy from a 5 to 8, number one. If you're going, hard from 5 to 5. Yeah. Number two, like, they're still wrapping up shit of work stuff, right? From 5 to 8, at least in my business. Yeah. Especially as you're growing and you are wearing all the hats and you're the guy for everything still, and you've been able to delegate and have, 7 people underneath you and all that. You have 1.5, right? Type deal. Right. But 5 to 8, she's like, "I want our kids deserve 5 to 8. Give them 3 hours. They're at school during the day, they're asleep after 8 o'clock, like, give them 5 to 8. And I was like, okay. And I did it, and then I went to business with a douchebag who told me not to do that, and now he's doing it actually, which is funny. But that's not the point. The point is like, I made it a huge priority to do that. I got made fun of on stage for that, by the way.
For that commitment that you made?
Yes, 5 to 8. That's stupid. Like, and they didn't like it nonchalant, but I literally have the recording. I watched it the other day. But like, "Oh, that's dumb," and like, it's he'll come in when he needs to come in, and he'll finish up and whatever. He's grinding, he's making it happen, and like, dude, each person their own. I want you guys to understand that, like, but whatever it is, own it. Like, own your shit. Love Sean Whaley called me out. I was like, dude, own your shit. Whatever it is, own it. If you're addicted to porn, own it. If you're an alcoholic, own it. If you're a douchebag, you're a racist, you're whatever, like, own it and then fix it. But like, we just don't want to own it. We just want to like push it down the side and push down the road and kick it. And so that's been my thing, is like, she's like, "I want 5 to 8. And so after 8:01, boom, and my phone away. So I literally had to take my watch off, take my phone, go put it in my room on my charging dock, in my room, and like it's a drug. Right? It just is. At least for me, especially if the thing makes you money. Right?
Especially when you feel the vibration in your pocket and the phone's not there. You're like, that's a problem.
Yeah. Or like, you're mentally like, oh, like something like, yeah, or you're and you're like, "Oh, what's this?" Or like, it's like, "Oh, how many missed phone calls do I have? Or how many text messages or emails am I roll into?" And all that stuff. Even right now, it's like, we've been, ripping for almost 3 hours. It's like, dude, it's like, but guess what? Nobody's gonna die.
No one's gonna die.
It doesn't matter how small your business is. No one's gonna die. Right. You might piss off a client. But if you piss off one client, that's your problem, because you only have one client. Right?
Haven't you, like, at least for me, I've found, even when it's in that situation where something happened with the client, when I'm radically transparent, like, "Hey, I was spending time with my wife and kids," no one has ever given me pushback after. They're like, "Hey, like, I told your manager, like, they said I should expect a call by 5, it's now 5:30. Totally sorry. I was with my wife and kids. I was with my children, and I'm fully present with you now." I've never had anyone after that say like, "Well, I wish you would have." It's like, there's like, okay, well, anyway, and then they get into what they need to. Yeah. It's like providing that transparency. Yeah. Outside of whoever that person was. Yeah. Most normal humans are okay when you are transparent with them.
Yeah, like, hey, like, I was with my wife and my kids, and when I'm with somebody, and they'll actually appreciate, most people, as long as they're like not idiots, they'll appreciate that. They'll be like, "Hey, I'm 100% focused and dialed in with my wife and my kids for that past hour. I don't apologize. That's what I was doing." Some will say I apologize. Why are you apologizing? Like, But when I give you my full attention for an hour and I don't talk to my wife or my kids or whatever, it's like, you expect that in return, right? You expect me to be fully transparent and dialed in with you. Cool. I was just doing that with my wife and kids, and now I can give you. Do you want me half-assed? Do you want 50% of me or all of me?
Right.
Nobody's gonna be like, oh, I want 50% of you, Mr. Payne. Like, Mr. Ritchie, I want 50% of you. No, I want all of you. Okay, cool. Then I need all of X or Y or Z. It's like the gym, right? Like I see dudes go to the gym, they don't get any bigger. Exact same. Go to the gym all the time. Look the exact same. Why? Because they're on their phone, they're looking at music, they're scrolling, they're doing reels for 30 minutes. I was at the gym for an hour. I'm like, dude, you worked out for 7 minutes.
Yeah.
And you sat in the sauna for 10 minutes. I'm like, of course you're not going to get any bigger. Like, you didn't work out any muscles. You were physically there, but last time I checked, just going bing to the barcode or whatever, like, check. You don't get big from checking the barcode. You actually have to lift the weights.
Yeah.
And so that's my biggest, one of my biggest pet peeves, one of the biggest things I do. When you're there, freaking,
Be there.
I take a picture when I'm rolling in, like an accountability post, and when I'm done, me sweating, and that's it. In the middle, I'm like, do not freaking bother me. Turn on story of the year format, like all those school, like high school stuff.
Yeah.
How old are you?
I'm 33.
33. Okay, so you graduated in 08?
09.
09. Okay.
Yeah.
So that being said, as we wrap up, Evan, what would be one takeaway going from, X number of millions to basically doubling it to working in the space? How long have you been in the carpet cleaning space?
7 years total.
7 years.
Yeah.
Okay, so the success that you've had in the 7 years, from literally nothing from scratch to where you are right now, where you're projected to go, what would be your number one takeaway for somebody that is in that same hustle and that grind that you're in right now? Or that you're coming out of, because it's a phase, right? They call them, Brandon Dawson calls them breakthrough points.
Yeah.
Right? You're going through your first breakthrough point right now, right?
For me, I had, where I'm very grateful for Cameron, is he's indirectly taught me the principle of delaying gratification. And I would say to anyone who is currently in the grind, frequently step back a little bit and ask how you can be doing better, but also I'm a big believer now in the longer you delay gratification and stay true to tried and true principles, the ROI on that, it will increase exponentially as your business grows. And so me grinding on the first year was very proportionate to our revenue. Me grinding with leaders now, the compound effect is infinitely more than when I was on a van, and me grinding was like getting a job ticket from 200 to 500. Like, that was hustle.
Right.
Now my 30 minutes with a leader, in them translating that message to managers, increasing our operations, decreasing expenses, making more efficient operations, sales, whatever it might be, the ROI on that is exponentially more. And when that comes in and I put it right back in, even though I want to take it, like you said, earlier off the podcast, when you had a check in front of you, you could have, but you're like, no, I know that not only do they see what I know, but I know that if I can continue to grind this out and delay the gratification that I could take now, the ROI on that will be exponentially higher than anything that you could imagine at the moment that you could take it. And so delay the gratification as long as possible. Don't kid yourself that you can't go on a vacation at year 3 or 4. Take that vacation.
Do it.
But
put it on the calendar.
If there's $100,000, and there's a difference between taking that Hawaii vacation and expensing that for $5-7 than taking the full 100,000, 200,000 in profits.
Right.
There's a big difference.
Yeah.
And I know that more owners than I speak to than not kid themselves that they have to take all the profits versus what does your spouse really need? What do your kids really need?
Yeah.
There's no need for them not to have a Christmas. Take out the $1,000, $1,500, make sure they have a Christmas, make sure you go to Sedona every once in a while, but you pretending like you need the full $100,000, $200,000 in profits, you don't. Just delay it, keep
Right.
pouring it in on the things that are working and everything that you want. I think I'm almost certain it will be on the other end of, as long as it's tried and true and it's ethical and you're being honest about it. The longer you delay, the better it's going to be.
Yeah, so delayed gratification, I love that. That's huge, because when you truly understand that, when you delayed gratification, like you said, it doesn't mean that you can't do fun things as you're growing your business and as you're living it. Like put that vacation on the calendar and do it. Like I'm going to LSU Miami football game in Baton Rouge in November. It's my one of my dad's bucket lists. Freaking diehard ASU, go Devils, but just football here is just not the same compared to SEC football. And my dad's been wanting to go forever, and I literally put it on the calendar. I have 3 work event type stuff on that weekend. And I was like, no. Like, dude, you got to be here. I'm like, no, dude, you got to be here. I'm like, dude, nope. Put it on the calendar. Me, my wife, my kiddo, Cash, and my mom, my dad, we're going. I'm taking them. I'm like, yeah, let's go. But like, because what's gonna happen? I'm not gonna remember that thing that happened that weekend. I remember that trip forever. Yeah. My 8-year-old son is gonna remember that trip forever. My dad, he's not dying by any means, but in his 60s, like he's never gonna forget that, right? And that's an experience that I'll cherish forever. And so, like I said, that Disneyland trip or whatever, you can do that, but. Like I said, people think these trips cost $50,000 or $100,000. Dude, like, they're nominal versus you pulling out a big old fat chunk of cash and, like, destroying your cash flow, right? Number one, or your cash flow projections. And, like, go and do those trips because you want to make sure that you take care of the ones that love you because, but when you get in a bind or when you're at the ER or when you're on your deathbed, no, those people from that weekend, those people, like, nobody's going to be there. Yeah. Your wife and your kids are going to be there playing some, that's it. Yeah. Like, I don't know, I mean, maybe a business partner, but like, a client is never gonna be like, oh, you're not gonna have clients coming to your deathbed, like, oh man, so sorry about your accident or about this or that, or he's gone tomorrow. It's like, oh, bummer, do I still have my warranty? Right? It's like, so, I'll end with this. Tim Grover taught this. I don't know if we said this off camera or on camera. I'm gonna say it again. Tim Grover taught this, I think at the Limitless event with Keaton, but also at the mastermind I went to 2 weeks ago. Okay. And he said, be careful, you only have so many heartbeats left. Be careful who you spend them with. Right? And I was like, oh my gosh. Yeah. He's like, who are you spending them with? Now you're spending quality ones with people that you want to collaborate with, quality friends, your spouse, your kids, right? Or are you doing it on stupid shit? Yeah. Right? So like be very intentional of who you're spending those because you don't know when your last one is, right? He coached Kobe Bryant, gone. Boom, 42, 43, whatever, just Gonzo. So you don't know when your last day is, so that's why I always talk about reach your true potential, become the best version of yourself. I tell that every single day to my employees. And anybody I talk to, become the best version of yourself, reach your true potential, and then your goal as a business owner is to take your business, your family, and your income to the next level. Yeah. Like if you do that every single day, like that's why they're like, Jason, why do you go 100 miles an hour? I'm like, dude, what if I'm gone tomorrow? What if and I've been going 50 forever? Like I can't go 100 anymore. I'm dead. Right. But like go all out, man. Go all out in everything you do. Like go all out and do everything you can, and live your life to the fullest every single day because you know when your last day is. Delayed gratification is huge, and I totally believe in it. I've done that with my company for the past 4 years, and I could have pulled out commas and zeros out of my business, but instead I keep dumping it back into it to hire more people, have more employees, help them reach their goals. Yep. Right? And help grow the business instead of like, oh man, we're super tight because Jason pulled out all this money for what? So I can go sit in a bank account? So I can go buy, some toy that I'm going to use twice a year? Like, to each their own, but that's not my jam. Right. So, anyways, Evan, appreciate you, dog. Yeah, thanks for being on. And Evan Rich, you guys, owner of Coconut Cleaning, him and Cam there. And I appreciate you for coming on and jamming with me. And we were supposed to record 3 hours ago, but we just started talking. 2 hours later, we blinked, and I'm like, oh, we should probably press record now. So, appreciate you, brother. And those that are listening, there's no fee, there's no commercials, there's no ads. All I ask in return, share it with a friend, share it with a business owner, share it. We always, it's not just about business too. It's called sexy business status. It should be called like sexy life status. Yeah. Because we talk about, your relationships with your spouse and your kids, being a great dad or a great mom, being a great spouse, and apart from the business side of things. So share that with somebody that needs it, and leave us a review. Appreciate you all. And don't forget, be great.